The story begins with a car driving down the road while a boy plays on his phone. His name is Gil-soo, and his parents ask him to stop playing. However, he doesn't respond. As they continue their journey, they enter a tunnel, and his mother insists that he should listen to his father. The man watches him through the rearview mirror and sighs. Gil-soo then comments that his father probably regrets having him as a son since he suffers intensely from bullying at school. His mother replies that if the students start bullying him again at the new school, he can simply quit, as she wants him to have a comfortable life. He calls her a liar, claiming that she begged his father to transfer him, but gets no response and returns to his game. After losing, he stares at the game over screen and wonders if he should end it all. The scene shifts to the entrance of Six Gate School, where Gil-soo walks hesitantly, wishing he could run away. He even prays for an earthquake to happen. Introducing himself, he says his name, Lee Gil-soo, and tries to finish his sentence but quickly wishes time would stop so nothing bad could happen. Suddenly, the students start applauding him. Surprised, he lifts his head and realizes they're welcoming him, saying it's cool to have someone from the big city around. Later, another student approaches with a friend. Gil-soo, already expecting the worst, thinks he's about to be bullied again. However, the student just places a hand on his back, introduces himself as Deal, and invites him to the store, saying he'll show him around. Gil-soo, surprised, realizes it's the first time he's ever gone to a store with friends. As they walk, Deal comments on their friend's eyebrows, saying they look like Rock Lee's. Gil-soo replies that, in a way, he thinks they have their own charm. He starts wondering why the school feels so friendly since everyone seems happy and having fun. For the first time, he considers the possibility of having a peaceful life there. However, when he bumps into another student, he feels a tightness in his chest. The student remarks that he got soaked, making Gil-soo panic and apologize repeatedly, saying he'll clean it all up. To his surprise, the other just smiles and says it's fine and appreciates the offer. Gil-soo is stunned, realizing that maybe he can actually live a normal life there. The bell rings, announcing the end of classes, and he reflects on how different the school's atmosphere is. All the fear he felt seemed unnecessary, and he admits to himself that he's happy he moved. Shortly after, Deal approaches his desk and asks if he has any plans later. Gil-soo says no, and Deal invites him to hang out. At night, while walking through the city, Gil-soo notices they've been walking for a while and decides to ask where they're going. Deal simply replies that there's a place he needs to see because every newcomer has to go through it. Gil-soo thinks it sounds forced, but as he notices they're moving away from the city, he starts to reflect. Deal then asks if he's ever done boxing or has any fighting experience. Gil-soo answers no. Laughing, Deal says he'll need courage for what's coming and that they should hurry since they're almost there. Only then does Gil-soo notice that Deal has several scars on his body. The memories of all the schools where he was bullied come rushing back, and he starts fearing that Deal will attack him too. Overcome with fear, he stops walking and says he needs to leave. However, Deal grabs his shoulder, assuring him they're almost there and asking him to at least take a quick look. Unable to assert himself, Gil-soo ends up following him to a warehouse. Upon arriving, he feels defeated and betrayed. Deal opens the door and sounds of shouting and cheering echo from inside. Scared, Gil-soo closes his eyes, expecting the worst. But when he opens them slowly, he realizes he's standing before an underground fight event. The place is packed with students watching the fights. In shock, he sees one of the fighters take a powerful spinning hit, leaving him speechless. Deal laughs and comments that Gil-soo must be surprised, saying, "Welcome to the school's fight arena." The school's fight arena reveals itself before Gil-soo, and he watches as fighters help each other after the matches. Surprised, he hears a voice calling Deal from above the arena. The man asks who the newcomer is. His name is Jang Chung, the school president. Deal replies that Gil-soo just transferred today. However, Gil-soo thinks the guy looks way too old to be a student. Rock Lee then challenges Deal to get into the ring, saying he'll get revenge for mocking his cat paws hairstyle. Deal accepts the challenge without hesitation. Chung turns to Gil-soo and says it's a pleasure to meet him. Gil-soo is struck by the height difference between them. Chung welcomes him to the school as the students cheer excitedly when Deal and Rock start fighting. Gil-soo, confused, asks why they're fighting if they're friends. Chung laughs and says the freshmen aren't so bad. Still perplexed, Gil-soo tries to understand the situation. Chung then explains that this is the true face of the school. He states that there's no bullying there, only violence, but within specific rules. The main rule is that all fights must happen inside the arena. Gil-soo is shocked. Chung stares at him and says he can tell Gil-soo has been bullied constantly. He suggests that Gil-soo release some of that stress there since inside the arena, everyone is equal in the face of violence. Gil-soo's eyes widen in surprise. Chung continues, saying he doesn't like complicated explanations and will only say this once, so Gil-soo better pay attention. Rule number 1. Only 6 Gate students can enter. After graduation, expulsion, or dropping out, entrance is forbidden. Rule number 2. Fights are always one-on-one and weapons aren't allowed. Rule number 3. Members of the Guidance Council act as referees. Suddenly, a voice stands out from the crowd. It's the boy from the cafeteria calling out to Gil-soo and asking where he's been. Gil-soo immediately remembers him. The boy says he wants to fight to make up for the cleaning fee. Chung comments that it looks like he already has an opponent and that he'll learn through practice. Rule number 4. Any kind of violence outside the arena arena is prohibited. If someone has a problem with another person, they must settle it inside the ring. The final rule is simple: just have fun and don't be afraid inside the arena. Gil-soo thinks to himself, not understanding how he could ever enjoy this. The referee raises his hand, signaling the start of the fight. Gil-soo looks at his opponent and feels intimidated. His instincts, honed after 3 years of being bullied, scream at him to run. The students continue to cheer, and some comment that the new kid was really unlucky to have been chosen by Kang-in. He is famous for his brutality. Kang-in looks at Gil-soo and asks if he's not going to make the first move. He says he's giving him an advantage since it's his first fight. However, Gil-soo is paralyzed with fear, unable to react. Seeing this, Kang-in smiles and says that if Gil-soo will take the chance, then he will. He lunges forward. Gil-soo starts trembling, tears welling up in his eyes. The spectators' excitement turns into pure disgust. Everyone watches in disbelief as Gil-soo covers himself in vomit and hay. Kang-in realizes what happened, and while the students burst into laughter, asks for a towel or something to help. Gil-soo, humiliated and defeated, mutters that he's never thrown a punch in his life and that he can't do this. The scene cuts to the school bathroom. Some students talk about the arena fight, calling it embarrassing. Gil-soo sits inside a stall, overhearing everything, and concludes that he's completely screwed. He thought it was a normal school, but realizes it's far from it. Even though Chum told him to have fun, he knows he never will. He already imagines what will happen the next day, but since he can't be bullied anymore, he figures he just has to push through. The scene shifts again. Chum is doing push-ups with 2 students on his back. He reaches 999, struggles with the last rep, but manages to hit 1,000. Gil-soo watches, perplexed, and asks how he can possibly be a high school student. Chum looks at Gil-soo and asks if he has something to say. Gil-soo hesitates, but then mentions he has a question about the fight arena. Chum teases, asking if he has any skills besides vomiting. Gil-soo ignores the joke and says that he really can't fight in the arena. The students around them fall silent, surprised. Chum asks why, pointing out that he didn't even get hurt in the previous fight. Gil-soo lowers his head and admits he has no confidence. He says he doesn't hate anyone and doesn't see any fun in fighting. In fact, he doesn't even understand the purpose of the arena. He asks if he can simply not participate. Chum puts his hand on Gil-soo's shoulder and says that means he can beat him up as much as he wants now. Gil-soo, confused, asks what he means. Without directly answering, Chum declares that as the school president, he's announcing that Gil-soo is no longer protected by the arena. School life continues as usual, but Gil-soo fears what might happen. His fears come true when Kang-in shows up, saying he heard about his decision not to participate in the arena. Without warning, he grabs Gil-soo and slams his face against the desk. Laughing, he says he's going to teach him what that means at this school. He declares that he needed a slave, and now Gil-soo belongs to him. The other students completely ignore the scene as Gil-soo is punched in the face. Kang-in praises his own strength, and one of the students comments that he heard Gil-soo transferred because of bullying. Ha, one of Kang-in's friends, laughs and says it makes total sense since Gil-soo is such a coward. He then orders Gil-soo to come to his class during every break. Gil-soo starts crying as the beating continues in the back of the classroom. The scene shifts to the teacher's office. We hear Gil-soo talking to a teacher, saying he plans to drop out of school. He explains that he's preparing for it and will just take the exam to get his diploma. With a defeated look, he says he's done everything he could. Softly, he apologizes to his family, lamenting that he's such a useless son. Leaving school, he passes through the gate, reflecting that his school life is over. However, he's stopped by Chung, who stares at him and asks why he's not fighting. He demands an explanation. Gil-soo hesitates but eventually lowers his head and says he's sorry. He claims that someone obsessed with fighting like Chung could never understand how he feels. He admits he has trauma from violence, suffered severe bullying, and now just wants to give up because he's tried everything. Chung puts his hand on his shoulder and declares that he's even more pathetic than he thought. Gil-soo, confused, asks what he means. Without responding, Chung starts walking toward him. Chung asks who said he has to fight like a pro. He says that if Gil-soo doesn't have teeth, he should use his gums. If he doesn't have strength, he should use courage. That's what it really means to fight. He grabs Gil-soo by the collar and asks if he doesn't even want to protect himself. Gil-soo starts crying, wondering what he did wrong. Chung then asks if he thinks the outside world is all sunshine and rainbows. He says that if Gil-soo keeps acting like this, he'll be a loser for the rest of his life. Gil-soo walks home, muttering that Chung would never understand because he's never been weak. He's tired and wants to give up, but then Hem appears, grinning mockingly. He says he heard that Gil-soo won't be going to school anymore starting tomorrow. Laughing, he asks how he could leave without saying goodbye. Threateningly, he adds that if Gil-soo leaves, who will be his punching bag? Since Chung created the fight arena, he hasn't had any slaves, so he needs someone to vent his frustrations. He says Gil-soo is wrong if he thinks everything will end by quitting school. He orders him to follow. The scene cuts to a dark alley where the bullies beat up Gil-soo. Lying on the ground, Gil-soo feels like he's about to die and just wishes they would stop. and then comments that he should consider himself lucky. If it were back when Kangen's older brother was at the school, he'd already be dead. Suddenly, Ha asks if the address he received is correct. Gil-soo, confused, wonders what he's talking about. Ha laughs and says he can't believe Gil-soo lives in such a nice house. He then reads out his address aloud. He declares that next time they'll visit him at home. He laughs again. Gil-soo suddenly stands up and demands to know what he plans to do at his house. Ha just orders him to stay still or he'll take a picture and send it to everyone. Completely desperate, Gil-soo wonders what he did so wrong to deserve this. He really thought it was finally over and that he had escaped this hell. But the moment he thought he was free, he was dragged back in. He remembers Chung's words, fighting isn't just about strength, and he realizes how much of a coward he's been for not even trying to protect himself. The bullies grab his face, and he screams in pain. He laughs and mocks him, telling the others to hold him tighter. In his desperation, Gil-soo shouts again, "Why? What did I do wrong?" In a sudden move, he knocks Ha's phone to the ground, cracking the screen. Ha looks at the phone shocked. Without thinking, Gil-soo bites Ha's hand as hard as he can. Ha screams in pain while Gil-soo mutters that since he's weak, he'll do whatever it takes to fight. He says he'll resist with everything he has. Ha, furious, punches Gil-soo in the face, knocking him down. But to everyone's shock, Gil-soo gets up again. Ha, stunned, mutters that he's gone crazy. Gil-soo, panting, replies that he's pretty sure he has. Ha looks down, noticing the determination in Gil-soo's eyes. Gil-soo then says that if he's going to die, he'll take Ha down with him. Ha laughs, surprised, and comments that even a cornered rat will bite. He asks if Gil-soo is ready to keep going. The other two bullies move in on him, but Gil-soo doesn't back down. He grabs a handful of dirt from the ground and throws it into their eyes, shouting at them to get lost. The attackers retreat furious. He realizes that Gil-soo picked up the dirt when he fell. Without wasting time, he yells at the others to chase him. Gil-soo runs, not knowing exactly where he's going. Somehow, his feet lead him back to the fight arena. The door opens and Chung looks surprised to see Gil-soo entering. With determination in his eyes, he declares, "I'm going to do this." The surrounding students are shocked by his return. Gil-soo then announces that he wants to enter the fight arena. The bullies who were chasing him stop at the door. Chung watches the scene and smiles. He says that Gil-soo is more interesting than he imagined. Already inside the ring, Gil-soo prepares to fight. One of Ha's friends steps forward and says he will be the one to face the nerd. His name is Park Yongo. Another companion warns him to lower his voice because Chung is present. Yongo responds that he knows and it's always necessary to be careful. Gil-soo takes a punch to the face, followed by a knee to the stomach, and receives another blow to the face. Kang asks if he really thought he could do anything in a fight and hits him again, making him lose balance. Then he lifts his leg and kicks Gil-soo in the face, saying he'll teach him how to behave. Laughing, he asks how he feels now, claiming he surely regrets it. Gil-soo glares at Kang with anger, which irritates him. Ordering him to lower his eyes, Kang slaps him repeatedly, insulting him with each hit. He says a loser should act like one and that this isn't a webtoon. Then he performs his spinning kick, sending Gil-soo sprawling across the floor. The students comment on how intense the fight is and wonder if Gil-soo broke something. Kang, still excited, hopes he's not dead. Gil-soo tries to get up, but Kang is surprised, saying he should already be unconscious. He orders him to stop pretending to be tough, warning he might end up dead. Gil-soo asks how, claiming this doesn't even compare to the pain he has already faced. He lunges forward, landing a punch that knocks Kang to the ground. The students react in shock, calling him Vomit Boy, and commenting that he has some tricks up his sleeve. Kang admits he was caught off guard. Gil-soo screams and goes for another punch but gets hit first. Kang mocks him, asking how such slow punches could do any damage. At that moment, Gil-soo remembers Chung's words and suddenly headbutts Kang, making his nose bleed. The students cheer, saying this is more fun than they imagined. Chung observes that even though the adrenaline is numbing the pain, Gil-soo is clearly injured but shows impressive resilience. Kang kicks him away, making him fall to the ground. Wiping blood from his face, he asks if Gil-soo has a death wish. Still, Gil-soo gets up, determined to continue. He wonders if it was always like this, if the gangs he feared were really that strong. The students start chanting his name. Clenching his teeth, he charges at Kang, throwing a punch in one-punch style but is stopped by an uppercut. His consciousness fades as Kang declares he won't be caught off guard again. Gil-soo passes out and Kang is declared the winner. Later that night, Gil-soo wakes up unsure if he had passed out. Despite this, he feels proud for having defended himself, remembering he managed to land a hit. However, he regrets not staying calm and starts reflecting on what he could have done to win. If only he were a bit stronger. Suddenly, Chum appears beside him and asks if his mind is clearer now. Gil-soo looks around, realizing they're alone, and asks if Chung came for him. Chung replies that as president, it's his duty to ensure no one gets seriously hurt since the arena exists to protect students. He reminds Gil-soo that what happened was an exception, and that from now on he's no longer allowed to enter since he's about to leave the school. Chung starts to walk away, but Gil-soo stops him, asking what he should do. Chung frowns, wondering what he means. Determined, Gil-soo declares he won't quit school, and begs Chung to tell him what he needs to do to get stronger. He explains that everything started because of a flying slipper that accidentally hit someone. At first, it seemed like nothing would happen, but then the other students exchanged exchanged looks and began beating him, demanding money. He had been marked as weak. They laughed, saying people like him needed to be beaten, and kicked him mercilessly. Gil-soo recalls how it all began but decides he can't give up. Chung smiles, saying it's also his responsibility as president to train the weak. He approaches Gil-soo and asks if he's ready. Without warning, he punches Gil-soo in the stomach. Gil-soo spits blood and screams in pain. Chung comments that it must hurt like hell but warns this is just the beginning. He promises to make him strong enough to withstand his punches. The next day, Gil-soo still feels intense pain and wonders how strong Chung really is. He remembers Chung telling him to look for him during breaks. Gil-soo wonders if this training will truly make him stronger. Gil calls out to him, asking if he wasn't going to quit. Gil-soo replies that he changed his mind. Gil comments that he must like the arena, joking that he has the guts to keep going. Suddenly, Kang appears. Gil-soo lifts his head upon hearing him call him a punching bag. He knows how strong it is. Kang says he didn't expect to see him back and asks if he wants revenge but warns him to know his place or he might end up dead next time. They walk in opposite directions. Gil notices that Gil-soo is trembling with rage. Determined, Gil-soo decides he'll become strong enough to never lose to bastards like Kang again. On the rooftop, we see Gil-soo getting punched in the face and then in the stomach by Chung. Chung tells him to keep his eyes open and follow his fists. He also forbids him from fighting until the training is complete. Gil-soo protests, asking how this can even be called training, as he squeezes his eyes shut tightly. Several days pass since the training started. He takes hit after hit. The left hook lands, followed by a kick that sends him flying. He complains that this feels more like a one-sided beating than actual training. Meanwhile, in the ring, Kang looks down at his completely defeated opponent. People comment that he's been ruthless since his fight with Gil-soo and that his ego is bruised. They joke that his weaknesses are headbutts and vomit. Irritated, Kang challenges anyone to fight him if they think he has a weakness. His opponent apologizes and backs off. Kang storms through the crowd, calling them idiots. He asks his friends if they've seen Gil-soo today. They say no, mentioning that he hasn't been showing up during breaks and has been avoiding the arena. They suggest it seems like he's rejecting the arena. Kang has a moment of realization, thinks about Chung, and then smiles, saying he has an idea to beat up some losers. That night, Gil-soo runs on the track, completely exhausted. He remembers all the beatings he's taken and wonders if this training method will really make him stronger. Still, he decides he needs to push harder to reach his goals. Suddenly, a motorcycle approaches and brushes against his shoulder. The rider stops and complains that Gil-soo scratched his bike. He gets off, saying they need to discuss the matter and demands compensation for repairs. Gil-soo asks how he expects him to come up with that kind of money, pointing out that it was the rider who hit him. The man grabs his hair, calls him a loser, and punches him, accusing him of trying to scam him. His friends laugh, claiming they saw everything and that Gil-soo ran right into the bike. Confused, Gil-soo asks what's going on, but the man keeps talking and demands an answer. Gil-soo realizes he isn't afraid. The man insists he should hand over all the money he has. Then Gil-soo remembers that he's been taking beatings from a real monster this whole time. He knocks the man's hand away and punches him in the face with his left hand, asking why he should pay when he isn't even scared of him. The man grabs his wrist and mocks him, asking if that was supposed to be a punch. Gil-soo wonders why his hit had no effect and realizes he is still weak. The others watch in surprise as he starts spinning his arms wildly and shouts, admitting that he never actually learned how to fight, only how to take a beating. The aggressor laughs and kicks him, asking if he's putting on a comedy show. His friends laugh, saying he looks like a windmill or someone trying to swim. The man then puts on brass knuckles, smiling maliciously, and orders his friends to hold Gil-soo tightly. He warns that after this beating, Gil-soo will learn how to behave. He tells him to clench his teeth and goes in for the punch. But before he can land the blow, someone appears out of nowhere and knees him in the face. The aggressor stumbles back and Gil-soo looks on in shock, recognizing his savior, Deal. Deal laughs upon realizing the person he saved was Gil-soo. One of the thugs charges at him, but Deal dodges the attack and counters with a left hook to the face. Another comes at him with a wooden plank, but Deal blocks it with his arm and lands another punch. A girl who was with them screams when she sees her friends knocked out and complains that they left her alone. Gil-soo watches Deal fight, impressed by his strength, realizing he thought Deal was just a regular guy. The girl then threatens Deal, asking if he knows who they are. She claims they are part of the strongest first years at Dealing High School. Sanol, one of Deal's friends, tells her to give up, that it doesn't matter. If they call more people, it will only get worse for them. He reveals he's from 6 Gates High and says he found it odd the loser was acting that way, but now they mess with the wrong person. The aggressors quickly jump on their bikes and flee. Deal clicks his tongue, calls them idiots, and then turns to Gil-soo, asking how he got involved with them. A little later, Gil-soo explains about his special training with Chung. Deal is surprised and comments that Gil-soo must be really serious about fighting. Gil-soo confirms but admits he's still too weak and was just training his endurance when he was attacked. Deal laughs for calling Gil-soo throwing punches in the air and says it was quite a spectacle. He praises his courage for not showing fear, but warns that he still doesn't have enough strength to fight multiple people at once. Deal explains that if it were him, he would have dodged the hit and countered. But he also confesses he envies Gil-soo for being chosen by Chung. He adds that for someone who rejected the the arena, it's important to get used to the environment. After all, the school is unique. Gil-soo then recalls Sano saying they messed with the wrong person and asks Deal why the thugs ran away when they found out he was from Six Gates. Deal laughs and says it's obvious, that school is famous. Gil-soo asks why, and Deal explains that Six Gates has a long history of school violence. In the past, it was like a jungle and things got out of control. Gil-soo comments that it doesn't seem that way now. Deal agrees and says that's thanks to Chung. He conquered the school and created the fight arena with his own rules. Over time, the school became more organized since the arena became an alternative way to release pent-up anger. But if the arena or Chung disappears, the rules will lose their meaning. Who knows when everything will return to the chaos it once was? Besides, there are still people who want things to go back to the old ways. In the arena, a student falls to the ground defeated. Yongo mocks at him, asking if that's all he's got. He points at another person and orders him to get in the ring, saying he chose him just because he doesn't like his face. The student hesitates and Yongo asks if he's refusing to fight. Kang's group laughs, commenting that Yongo is on fire today. Kang, on the other hand, calls them losers and says they need to learn their place. Yongo steps forward and lands a left hook on his opponent's face, followed by a right punch. The opponent tries to ask for a break, but Yongo ignores him and prepares a final kick, saying it's way too easy. Kang then stands up and orders everyone to clear the way, saying he wants to have some fun too. He says that some people just talk and never step into the ring. He announces he'll teach those cowards a lesson. Back to the present, it's Kang's turn to fight. The students wonder who he'll choose, and he points at one of the students who is talking about him. He orders him to get into the ring immediately. The boy, surprised, asks why he was chosen, since they don't even know each other. Kang replies that he doesn't need a reason. He just got in a bad mood looking at him. He grabs him by the collar and asks if he plans to refuse the challenge and end up like Gil-soo. At that moment, Chung enters the arena, visibly irritated. He stares at Kang and asks what's going on. Kang, unfazed, replies that he just issued a fight request, but there was a misunderstanding. He then challenges Chung, asking if there's a problem with that, pointing out that he didn't break any rules. Back in the past, he is with his friends and they ask what his plan is. He says that Gil-soo got himself into trouble by being the first in the school to say no to the combat arena. As long as you have arms and legs, anyone can fight in the arena. Everyone is equal in the face of violence, and these are the school's rules. They can brag about it, but if you look closely, you'll realize they're cowards who only enjoy watching the fights without ever participating because, deep down, they're all losers. His friends agree, saying they're having fun too, but that idiot Gil-soo exposed the situation. They wonder what would happen if they challenged those who had been beating others until now. Yongo replies that they would be forced to fight so they wouldn't end up like Gil-soo. Kang agrees and says the arena will now be their playground. Back in the present, and asks Chung what's going on, saying he didn't break any rules. Chung tells him to stop pretending to be brave, and laughs, apologizing for the confusion and saying that next time he'll choose more carefully. On the rooftop, Chung is landing a series of blows on Gil-soo, finishing with a kick. Gil-soo says he feels like he's going to die, but manages to balance himself and block a hit, saying he's not as scared as before. Chung responds that he's getting used to the punches. Gil-soo tries to counterattack, but Chung dodges and Gil-soo says that if he wants to win, he needs to land a punch. He keeps attacking without any real plan, and Chung starts getting irritated, slapping him and telling him to shut up. Gil-soo replies that it hurt more than usual, and Chung tells him that he needs to learn how to really fight. If he does, he could even win a fight in the game room. At the arcade, Gil-soo says the place is old and asks why they're there. He opens the door and sees a bald man, whom some might recognize as Bob. Chung tells him to raise his fists to his chin, tuck his chin in, and position his feet shoulder-width apart, slightly on his toes. He instructs Gil-soo to throw a jab, a light punch, and for the straight punch, to rotate his hips, shoulders, and use his legs to generate power, maximizing the impact. Gil-soo says the punch sounded like a gunshot, but insists it's his turn now. He throws an awkward jab and then a straight punch, saying he's getting the hang of it, but when he looks at the score, he realizes it hasn't changed. Chung says the machine is broken, so unless the punch has real impact, it won't register. He needs to hit harder to damage the opponent. Chung tells him to find his own way of fighting and not to show himself until he achieves the highest score. The scene shifts to when he's on the phone and his girlfriend says they should stop seeing each other. He wonders why she's acting like this again. He bumps into Yongo and apologizes, but Yongo throws him to the ground, causing his phone to fall and break. Yongo says he did mean to bump into him, but Rock responds that it was clearly on purpose. Yongo says that, judging by his look, he seems to have a problem and suggests settling it in the arena. Rock looks a bit scared and nervously says it was his fault. Yongo laughs, and the others comment that it was really an accident and not school violence. Then Yongo tells him to be more careful next time. Deal picks Rock up and suggests reporting the incident, but Rock tells him to drop it, saying it's not worth making a fuss. Deal looks irritated. In the cafeteria, Gil-soo is eating frantically, saying he's starving and can't increase his score, asking what he should do. Yongo apologizes and dumps food on Gil-soo's head, laughing. He says he hadn't seen him around and wondered where he had been disappearing to, then slaps his back, saying he missed him. He keeps hitting him, saying it's good to see him after so long and asking if he feels the same, with malice in his eyes. We see Kang and Yango talking outside the cafeteria about how they just bullied Rock and got away with it. Kang says it's time to do the same to Gil-soo and show him what happens when he messes with them. Yango says he'll handle it, telling Kang not to get involved and to trust him. Gil-soo grabs Yango's hand and Yango says he's learned to resist now, calling him cute and he's angry. Gil-soo is furious, but Chung has banned him from the arena until he finishes his training. He says he has no choice but to obey. Deal tells Yango to shut up, saying he's trying to eat, and then throws his food tray at Yango. Deal says you shouldn't bother a dog when it's eating. Gil-soo is surprised by this. Deal tells him he needs to know his place. Yango asks if Deal has gone crazy and Deal replies that it's not school violence, laughing as he says his hand simply slipped, but that he wanted to fight anyway. He tells Yango that this is good and that he will teach him a lesson in the arena tonight. We see Deal washing his clothes while Gil-soo, now in uniform, thanks him for helping. Deal says he didn't do it for Gil-soo, and although it may seem like it, he just wants to teach a lesson since he's tired of seeing people behaving wrongly in the arena. He admits he hasn't been there for a while, so he doesn't know exactly what's going on. Gil-soo asks what's happening, and Deal explains that they've been intentionally picking the weakest students and attacking them in the arena. When the students get scared, they use Gil-soo as an example, but since he hasn't had a chance to fight them yet, this is good because now he can protect the arena. Gil-soo wonders why Deal wants to protect the arena, saying that if he's so strong, the arena shouldn't matter to him. He asks if there's a reason behind it. Deal reveals that he went through a dark phase just like Gil-soo. A flashback shows him urinating into a pot filled with other things, while a bully tells him it's a new pig drink and orders him to open his mouth. We see a chubbier, timid version of Deal. The bully holds his mouth, forcing him to drink, but suddenly a large hand grabs the bully, telling him to be nice to his friend. Someone had saved Deal. Deal thanks the man, saying he doesn't know who he is. The man hands him a flyer and asks if he wants to try boxing as a way to lose weight. It turns out the man was the owner of a boxing gym. After that, Deal tried boxing for the first time and became obsessed with it. We see him progressively losing weight and transforming through boxing. He knocks the bully to the ground and the others try to apologize, realizing they can't mess with him anymore. Even those who acted like bullies were just weak inside. Gil-soo is surprised, realizing that Deal used to be bullied. Deal laughs, saying that the arena's rules made by Chung are a bit extreme, but he likes that people have the freedom to fight and choose their opponents. He says he's going to defeat Yango and asks Gil-soo to watch. That night in the arena, the two face off. Yango says he doesn't know where Deal suddenly got all this courage. Deal asks if he came to talk or to fight, telling him to stop talking and get started. Yango smirks, saying Deal looks ready to fight. Gil-soo wishes Deal good luck. The referee starts the match. Yango opens with a jab, but Deal blocks it, surprising him. Yango throws more jabs, but Deal easily dodges them all. Yango retaliates with his own punches, landing one on Deal. The spectators are shocked at Deal's speed. Yango notes that Deal is faster than he expected and wonders if he's purely a boxer. Deal starts pushing forward, backing Yango up with jabs. Yango comments that Deal may be fast, but his punches are too weak. He counters with a powerful punch, claiming he's stronger, but Deal blocks it. Deal throws another jab, Yango dodges and tries an uppercut, but it was a trap. Deal counters with his own uppercut, complimenting Yango on the attempt. Yango realizes he was tricked. Gil-soo is amazed, realizing Deal is dominating the fight and that Yango hasn't landed a solid hit yet. The crowd starts wondering if Deal was always this strong and notes that Yango might lose his undefeated record. Gil-soo is shocked to learn Yango is undefeated. Yango throws a right overhand, misses, a left hook, misses, another right, and misses again. He starts losing his composure, frustrated that he can't land a single punch. Deal taunts him, laughing and asking if Yango really thought those punches would land. He hits Yango with a jab, saying that light punches need to connect before heavy ones can. Deal lands a straight punch, sending Yango to his knees. Deal mocks him, saying he talks too much but can't back it up, and tells him to stop bothering people and leave the arena. Yango looks over at Kang, smiling, telling him not to worry because he's not done yet. Yango admits that Deal is better at boxing but claims he'll fight fairly from now on. Gil-soo is surprised as Yango raises his leg towards Deal, adopting a Muay Thai stance, declaring that it's time to start the real fight. Deal recognizes Yango's stance, noting that he plans to use a kick. He charges forward, head low, saying he can land 2 hits, and does so towards Yango. Yango grimaces in pain, wondering why Deal's leg feels so firm as his kick was blocked. He attempts to strike, but Deal creates distance. Yango doesn't lose momentum, charging directly at him. Seeing Deal preparing another kick, Yango blocks with his arm but instantly regrets it, feeling as if he's been hit by a steel post being thrown across the ring. He wonders why Deal is so strong, realizing that even though he blocked, the damage was immense. Yango comes forward with another kick and Deal raises his hands to block, but we see his arm bone fracture. Gil-soo shouts his name as the sound of the break echoes through the arena. Deal backs away and Yango laughs, taunting him to come at him like before, asking if he's scared. Deal wonders why Yango's kicks are so powerful, far beyond the strength of his punches, realizing that another hit could be dangerous. Lost in thought, Deal gets punched in the face and then is hit by a flurry of punches in a Dragon Ball Z style sequence. Yango laughs, happy that his punches are finally landing. Deal realizes he's too focused on Yango's kicks, preventing him from reacting properly. Yango insults him, reminding him that he was the one who said not to ruin the fight arena, questioning who he thinks he is. A low kick knocks Deal to the ground. Yango continues taunting, saying Deal is too weak to lecture anyone. Unable to stand, Deal watches helplessly as Yango prepares for his soccer-style kick to his head, saying goodbye. Just as the kick lands, the referee blocks it with his shin. This leg's made of steel. The referee, Jun, says, if your opponent can't fight anymore, going further is a foul. Yango laughs, saying they were just getting started, but he had fun for the first time in a while. He looks at Gil-soo, remarking that maybe that's why some old faces are back. As Gil-soo makes eye contact, Yango laughs harder, saying the arena will get even more fun, so we should come often. Later, Gil-soo helps Deal walk. Gil-soo asks if it hurts much. Deal says that more than the pain, he's just frustrated for losing and boosting their egos. Gil-soo notes that Deal was winning at first, but everything changed when the kick started. Deal agrees, saying Yango's kicks were much stronger than expected, but something felt off about that last kick, though he can't figure out what. They arrive at their destination, and Deal thanks Gil-soo for helping him, offering water before they leave. Gil-soo declines, saying he has something to do. Deal is curious, watching Gil-soo run off, wondering where he's headed at this hour. Cut to a classroom where Kang looks at the ugliest pair of shoes imaginable, asking why they're there. One of the guys says their gang wanted to show appreciation. Kang replies that he values talent over gratitude. They agree, promising to do their best. Yango enters, saying he doubts Gil-soo will show up at school today. Kang stands, asking what he means. Yango says it's probably time to beat him now. Kang puts a hand on Yango's shoulder, saying things have changed because of him. Yango looks confused as they walk. Kang explains that by defeating Deal, they proved their strength, scaring those who thought they were weaker. Touching Gil-soo now would only ruin their reputation. One guy asks about the next plan, suggesting spreading flyers to recruit people. Kang says no, explaining they've beaten the freshmen as planned and it's time for the next step. They cut to some men smoking outside, introduced as some Shoku. They ask who the newcomers are. Bose replies they came to meet them. Shoku laughs, dismissing them as freshmen, calling them kids. Kang responds, saying they probably looked that way to him since Shoku was part of a legendary generation with his brother. Shoku realizes who Kang's brother is. Kang points out that since Chung sidelined them, they've been hiding like old men. Shoku grabs Kang by the throat, calling him arrogant. Kang replies he's just disappointed, feeling like they've been fighting alone, that things have changed now. Shoku questions him, and we cut to Hang talking to Chung. Hang insists they need to intervene in the fight arena, saying letting them abuse the rules will destroy its foundation. He brings up Kang's older brother, Hai. Chung says the rules are the rules, even if they've been abused. Hang asks if he'll just stand by. Chung replies that even if he steps in and fixes things, the arena won't be the same. Hang reflects, realizing Chung is right. Chung's phone rings. It's Gil-soo, calling from the arcade. Chung reminds him that he said not to call until he scored some points, asking if he gave up. Gil-soo says that's exactly why he called. We see the punching machine covered in blood with a score over 99,999. Gil-soo tells Chung to teach him, saying he's ready for the next lesson. Meanwhile, we see Gil-soo running towards the game club, thinking about Yango. He says he needs to hurry and get stronger, then slaps Bob as we see him going all out on the poor mannequin. Gil-soo says this is the only thing he can do as he has nothing else, and he's pushing himself even with his weak punches. If he punches these machines tens of thousands of times, he'll surely be able to do it. He remembers Chung saying he needs to hit hard enough for the machine to register the punch. Only then will it prove he can cause damage to an opponent. Lacking weight and strength, it would be better to widen his stance to put more power into the punch, which he does, allowing for a full motion swing. He hits Bob right in the face, and we hear a loud noise. We see that he managed to score 3 points, and the count keeps rising, passing 20, then 134, slowly climbing higher and higher until it surpasses 4,000. Now his fists begin to bleed, the skin tearing until he finally hits the 99,999 points we saw before. He tells Chung to teach him. Chung smiles, saying that was faster than he expected, and Gil-soo replies that he had no choice since he doesn't have time to waste. Chung says that's good, and now they can move on to the next stage, but it will be much harder, so he needs to be prepared. As he says this, Gil-soo's head drops onto his chest, and Chung starts smiling, saying that rest is also part of training, while we see that Gil-soo has passed out. The next night, we see Yango asking if this is everyone at the fight club. He says not even half the usual people are there, asking if everyone is scared. We hear a man asking who's scared as he steps forward. It's a second-year student council member named Choi. He says he thinks he needs to educate the freshmen. Yango looks a bit surprised, and Choi says he hated the driving tattoo on Yango's arm since he first saw it, and that's reason enough for them to fight. He's been looking for fights over silly reasons like that all the time. Yango looks a bit tense, and we see Hang saying they can't just sit back anymore. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. The arena door starts opening and we hear Shoku asking what's up with this atmosphere. He heard rumors that their fight club has been fun lately, so he came to visit. Hang looks surprised and Shoku says he didn't expect to see a second year trying to fight a freshman. He wonders if he needs to spice things up a bit. Hang walks towards him, asking how he dares to come here. Shoku replies that he came because he's also a member of the high school. Hang tells him to stop spouting nonsense, since he caused an incident before but now shows up as if nothing happened. Shoku says they can forget about what happened in the past. We hear him asking why Hang is being so uptight, saying there are fewer people here, so it's good to have new faces joining, asking if Hang agrees. Hang clearly doesn't agree and then asks why he's so scared and laughs at him. Cut to a construction site and Gil-soo wonders what kind of training he's about to. Gil-soo is in a really dark place and says it's so gloomy that it feels like a ghost will pop out from somewhere. Chum responds that he needs to find his way properly. Gil-soo asks what kind of training he's going to do, and Chum asks if he's ever heard of the old Six Gate School. He explains that the schools in the Jeonyang area used to compete for the title of the strongest, and the school that won with an overwhelming victory was theirs. After Six Gates dominated the territory, the other schools dispersed back to their original areas. Gil-soo wonders what this has to do with him, and Chung says that where he's sitting now is the territory of Jining Technical School. Although school fights don't happen anymore, if members of another school invade their territory, it's treated as a clear provocation. Gil-soo is completely shocked, and then Chung slams the door hard and starts locking it, saying that the door on the other side is open, so he should try to get out on his own. Chung says there's no better experience than a real fight. Gil-soo starts shouting at him, asking what he's doing, and soon we hear a motorcycle approaching. He gets worried, and a man asks who's making so much noise in his territory. Gil-soo recognizes the man as soon as he gets off the bike, and we see it's none other than Sanel from before, who also recognizes Gil-soo. He says he knew he heard that school name somewhere before, and Sanel replies that Gil-soo must know the situation now is different from last time. He's really happy to see him here and starts laughing. He also says Gil-soo must be fearless to come here alone. Sanel starts putting on his brass knuckles just like before, and Gil-soo says nothing. Sanel grabs the back of Gil-soo's head and asks if he's scared since he's just standing there. Then Sanel realizes that Gil-soo is mumbling something and starts rubbing his brass knuckles on his face, telling him to speak up before he breaks his jaw. We start to hear what Gil-soo is mumbling, and he says, "Raise my fist to chin level, keep my feet shoulder width apart, and take light steps." Then he throws a jab, hitting Sanel directly in the face. He steps forward while still mentally reciting the steps to throw a proper punch. Sanel can only watch as the punch comes straight at him, hitting him much harder than any punch we've seen Gil-soo throw. All of Sanel's friends are shocked to see him spitting blood, and Gil-soo starts smiling, saying that it works now. Then we hear a man saying he lost while begging Shoku to let him go. Shoku replies that if he had known the fight arena was so much fun, he would have come earlier, and that he didn't realize the student council bastards were so weak. He refers to Troy, saying his mind is damaged. Meanwhile, we hear Hang warning not to overdo it when stepping into the ring. He suggests that Shoku face someone on his level before starting to brag. Shoku responds that, indeed, they have a lot to settle, dropping Troy to the ground and wondering what to do now that only his group and the student council remain. Everyone agrees he's right since even the few students still there had already left. The arena rules were completely ignored, and even Shoku, who used to keep a low profile, showed up. Most likely, the students left to avoid becoming targets. This apparently was exactly Kang's plan when he brought Shoku. Kang then suggests that if they really want to fight, they should set up a match in a proper place, not the arena since it's empty. He argues that he no longer needs to protect it. Hang starts getting irritated, but Shoku interrupts, telling him to listen carefully and make sure Chum knows too. This enrages Hang even more. Meanwhile, we see Sanctu taking a punch to the face. His friend runs toward him furious, asking how Gil-soo dares to act that way on their turf. He throws a punch directly at Gil-soo's face, but Gil-soo doesn't even flinch. With a smile, Gil-soo mocks him, saying those weak punches don't hurt at all. He then strikes his opponent in the stomach, sending him flying. Another enemy charges forward with provocative words, and Gil-soo accepts the fight. However, he's much stronger and knocks the opponent away with a single blow. They start wondering what's going on, questioning if he's really the same person from before. A woman steps in, calling Gil-soo an idiot and asking if he realizes what he just did. Behind her, even more men gather. She warns him that he's completely screwed. A strange-haired guy asks why someone from the Six Gates is there and suggests they finish him off. Gil-soo starts getting nervous, realizing the number of enemies and concluding that facing them directly is impossible. He needs a plan. The woman laughs, asking if he finally understands the situation and if he's ready to be crushed. Suddenly, Gil-soo jumps onto Cell's motorcycle and she reacts furiously, demanding to know what he thinks he's doing and telling him to stop. He realizes that if he can't fight them head-on, he needs to use a tool. The sound of the revving engine confuses the other students, and soon we see Gil-soo barely sitting properly on the bike, struggling to control it. They start laughing, finding the scene pathetic and embarrassing. However, Gil-soo lets go of the bike on purpose, sending it crashing into the group, scattering them. He reveals that he never intended to ride it, he only needed a distraction. Taking advantage of the chaos, he punches the strange-haired guy in the face, knocking him aside. We learn the guy's name is Kung-suk. The others shout to capture Gil-soo, who starts running as fast as he can. He thinks that if he can face them one-on-one, he might stand a chance. For a moment, he even misses the fight arena, but quickly realizes something. Even outside the arena, he still has a shot. He spots a long staircase and begins to climb. His enemies chase after him, and when they think they've cornered him, they see Gil-soo standing at the top, daring them to come up. They laugh, saying he must have hit his head while running. With no other option, they charge at him, convinced there's no escape. But Gil-soo surprises them by punching the first enemy square in the face, knocking him down. A second charges to avenge his friend, but also takes a strong hit and falls. Enemies begin falling over each other like bowling pins, and Gil-soo smiles. He realizes that if he can face them one by one and maintain the high ground, it'll be much easier. The stairs make them lose momentum, and if he knocks them down, he can escape. Taunting them, he tells them to stop stalling and fight, urging them forward so he can defeat them and leave. But before he can react, a bowl of ramen flies at him, hitting him on the head. At the same time, a man grabs the railing, jumps, and kicks Gil-soo in the face, sending him tumbling down the stairs into the crowd. The students cheer for their upperclassman, who angrily says he was just trying to enjoy his ramen when some 6 gates losers showed up. Gil-soo, dazed, mumbles that he didn't expect anyone on the upper floors. Determined, he charges at the newcomer, who looks slightly surprised but doesn't hesitate. With a swift move, he knees Gil-soo in the face, making him realize this guy is much stronger than the others. The upperclassman declares he'll give the students only 10 minutes to take Gil-soo down and bring him over. The students immediately attack Gil-soo from all sides. Still annoyed, the upperclassman complains about wasting his ramen and suddenly reduces the time to 5 minutes. Gil-soo struggles to block the kicks and punches raining down on him, feeling the fight turn against him. Yet he starts to stand up despite his trembling body. He realizes that fighting here won't get him anywhere. Meanwhile, the upperclassman hears one of his men yelling, calling the freshman useless, and saying it takes all of them to handle a failure like Gil-soo. At that moment, Gil-soo launches himself down the stairs like a projectile, catching the upperclassman off guard. He grabs his head and slams it with a brutal headbutt. The upperclassman screams in pain as they both tumble down the stairs. The other students rush to help him, asking if he's okay. He struggles to his feet, pointing at Gil-soo and ordering them to capture him immediately. He warns that if they fail, they're all screwed. Gil-soo, while running, starts laughing, celebrating his escape. He just needs to reach the back exit. Suddenly, he spots the rear gate open, just like Chung had said. But before he can reach it, the sound of a motorcycle catches his attention. He turns around, surprised, trying to understand what's happening. Looking closer, he sees a man with green hair dragging Sanel across the ground while speeding on the bike. The stranger sneers, saying he can't believe his men are losing to a weakling like Gil-soo. Then with a strange smile, he licks his lips and says he thinks Gil-soo is cute because he likes adorable things. He then introduces himself as Hae-chin Hwang, the head of the school. Gil-soo watches the scene and wonders what kind of crazy person would drag someone with a motorcycle. Meanwhile, Hwang comments that the rest finally arrived. Gil-soo turns around and sees the same guys from before. Hwang notices that they lost to Gil-soo and mocks the situation. Sanel, on the verge of losing consciousness, is sprawled on the ground. Hwang looks at his men and warns them that they will end up in the same state if they fail again. Desperate, they beg for a second chance. However, he just growls, saying that no one should touch his prey, surprising everyone. Gil-soo concludes that this guy must be the boss of the place. He notices that Hwang is shorter than him and less muscular than Chung, so maybe he has a chance to defeat him. Without wasting time, he decides to attack first. He remembers Chung's advice that the 1-2 combination works against any opponent and starts with a jab. However, Hwang quickly dodges, assuming a grappler stance, and once again calls him cute for attacking first. He then performs a quick double leg takedown. Gil-soo realizes his mistake too late. Instead of just being knocked down, he is violently slammed to the ground with a brutal impact. Dazed and about to lose consciousness, he is caught by Hwang, who smiles and says he can't let him pass out so quickly because he still wants to have some fun. In the blink of an eye, Hwang lifts him again and throws him backward in a devastating suplex. Gil-soo's head hits the ground hard, causing him to spit blood. He begins to think that he's going to die right there. The students who were watching burst into laughter, saying that Gil-soo deserved it. However, a boy with purple hair reprimands them, telling them to shut up because once Hwang is done, it will be their turn. Hwang grabs Gil-soo by the neck and asks if he's already passed out, demanding that he keep resisting. Suddenly, he receives a kick to the face. Gil-soo, still dizzy, mumbles, asking how someone like Hwang can call others cute when he himself looks like that. Instantly, Hwang gets angry and demands to know why Gil-soo called him cute. The purple-haired student whispers to the others that Gil-soo might really die there. He explains that when Hwang was younger, he was often mocked for his height, and that word should never be said in front of him. Not understanding what's going on, Gil-soo prepares for another attack. However, before he can react, Hwang grabs his body and murmurs that now he will fall for real, because he's about to enter his hell. In seconds, Gil-soo finds himself trapped in a triangle choke. He realizes that he can't move his arms or legs, and his breathing becomes increasingly difficult. Hwang grins wickedly, thanking Gil-soo for becoming his new prey. The purple-haired student watches and comments that this move is called the Hell Triangle Choke. Anyone caught in it cannot move and is completely defenseless. Hwang strikes Gil-soo's head repeatedly and demands that he say again that he's cute. Gil-soo realizes that this fight is on a completely different level than anything he's ever faced before. For the first time, he feels like he could actually die. The spectators are stunned as they watch Gil-soo lifting Hwang into the air, resisting the hold. With a determined look, he declares that he refuses to fall there. Hwang spins in the air and smiling responds that Gil-soo is truly fun. He quickly changes his position to attempt a new choke, murmuring that he likes him and that from now on he belongs to him. Gil-soo begins to gasp, struggling to breathe. Hwang in turn mentions that the school's record is 7 seconds, and he wants to see how long Gil-soo will last. Gil-soo feels like he's about to pass out. In the back of his mind, he thinks that he never wants to lose to someone like this again. His muscles begin to fail, his legs lose strength, and with a satisfied laugh, Hwang declares that now he's cute again. Holding Gil-soo by the arm, he starts driving him away, saying he's going to take him to keep playing. The students who were once terrified breathe a sigh of relief. Finally, it seems like Hwang has lost interest in them. They whisper to each other that this might be the perfect opportunity to escape. As Gil-soo is dragged across the ground, something unexpected happens. He opens his eyes. He explains that this is called the fainting game. Before being transferred, this was a game often played by his attackers. They would bet on how long he could resist, finding amusement in his suffering. Back then, the only way to survive was by pressing his pinky against the carotid artery, a resistance method that changed every week. Now, with his vision blurred and feeling his strength fading, Gil-soo feels around the ground and finds a stone. Huchin hears the noise and turns around, but it's already too late. The stone hits his face squarely, shattering upon impact. Huchin spits blood and stumbles. Taking advantage of the opening, Gil-soo gets up and runs, believing he has finally escaped. He spots the gate and tells himself that he just needs to get through it. However, Huchin doesn't give him that chance. With a fierce look, he asks where he thinks he's going. Gil-soo turns around and sees Huchin moving toward him as if nothing had happened. In disbelief, Gil-soo thinks it's crazy that he's still moving after taking that rock to the face. The gate is so close, he can't fail now. Suddenly, a voice interrupts the scene. Chung finally takes action, declaring that enough is enough. Instantly, Huchin feels a chill at the intimidating presence of Chung. With a serious expression, Chung stares at him, showing a hint of irritation. He warns that any further attack will be treated as an assault against the 6 gates. Gil-soo looks down and realizes that he's already left the school grounds. Huchin begins to hop on his feet, feeling a strange excitement in the situation. He comments that he suspected there was something different about Gil-soo, but he didn't expect Chung to be there. And to his luck, Chung wants to fight him. With a wild smile, Huchin charges, declaring that the era of the 6 gates is over and now it's the time of Jining. Chung, however, does not respond with words. The only answer he gives is the devastating impact of his fist. The sound of the punch echoes like a gunshot. Gil-soo is completely shocked as he watches Huchin being thrown backward, his teeth flying in the process. Chung watches the scene with disdain and says that, as expected, the students from Jining Technical haven't evolved at all. They'd only behave after being knocked out. Gil-soo, still panting, lifts his head to look at Chung. Chung says that he's already passed the 2nd stage. Now only the last one remains. He orders Gil-soo to go to the rooftop the next day. Gil-soo looks at Chung with confidence. The next morning, however, he is not on the rooftop. Instead, he is at school calling someone to go to the arena after class. It seems he didn't get the last part of Chung's training. In a flashback, we see Yango provoking Deal, questioning if his arm is really broken or if he's pretending out of fear of fighting again. He starts poking him, demanding that he say something, reminding him how much he boasted in the cafeteria. Then he pushes him down, mocking that he finally knows his place. Yango steps on the cast and laughs, asking if the arm is really broken, claiming it was just an accident. Deal then questions if he really intends to break the school's rules. Yango grabs him by the collar, laughing, and says that no one cares about the rules anymore since almost no one goes to the arena. Suddenly, Gil-soo rushes in and blocks Yango's punch, surprising him. Now the story aligns with the moment when Gil-soo challenged Yango to the arena, believing that there was no more time to train and that it was time to prove his worth. Yango laughs when he sees him and calls him a vomit boy. Then he grabs his bandaged arm and asks if he's been training alone, assuming that he's trying to learn to defend himself. Gil-soo quickly pushes his hand away, leaving Yango surprised. He then challenges Yango to another fight. Yango laughs again, saying that he has no idea where all this courage came from, but it seems fun. He steps back, stating that it will be interesting and that he will show how the arena has been in recent days, telling Gil-soo to look forward to it. Meanwhile, on a roof, Chung waits, not understanding why he was left waiting. Suddenly, the door bursts open and Jining enters, asking where he was the previous night and if he has any idea what happened in the fighting arena. Obviously, Chung doesn't know. Hang explains that Shoku showed up in the arena and warned him that if things continue as they are, things will only get worse. He insists that Chung must act quickly. However, Chung just smiles, finding it curious that Shoko appeared. Hang, irritated, asks why he doesn't seem worried about the arena, claiming it is about to collapse. Chung responds that if the arena is about to crumble over something so trivial, then it deserves that fate. He explains that the reason they were able to enjoy the arena was not because he kept it under control with strict rules, but rather the opposite. He compares the situation to a polluted river that purifies itself naturally. If the fighting arena changes only because of the power of a single person, then the situation will be different. But if it doesn't change, then it means it never had a real purpose. Back in the classroom, we hear Hane asking Yango if he said that Gil-soo wants to fight. Yango laughs and confirms, saying that Gil-soo suddenly went crazy and started showing off. He still mentions that Gil-soo seems to be training because his arms were bandaged and assures that he will finish him off in the arena. Hannah thinks about the situation while Yango watches him and asks why he looks so thoughtful, asking if there's a problem. Hannah responds that at this point, getting involved with a loser like Gil-soo will bring no benefit to them, and that the focus should be on taking down Chung. Yango laughs and assures that there's nothing to worry about, claiming that he will break one of Gil-soo's arms so he can never get in their way again. He emphasizes that winning was expected, but the real question is what others will think after all the effort they put in to consolidate their power. In the arena, he needs to win flawlessly and must never lower his guard. He starts suffering from PTSD, a kid who vomits, and then says that if it's not something else, he's very persistent. Outside the school, Rock asks Gil-soo what he was thinking, challenging him to a fight, saying he saw how that bastard is. Even Deal couldn't beat him, so how does he plan to do it? Gil-soo realizes he acted on impulse and wonders if it's right to disobey Chung like this, especially since it's the last training session. Deal tells him to cancel it immediately. Even though he trained with Chung, it's still very dangerous to fight Yango. He just transferred in so he doesn't know, but that bastard is the type of guy who does all sorts of dirty things with runaway boys outside the school. The result is as clear as day, so he should stay away. When he recovers, he'll take care of it. Gil-soo says no, he got hurt fighting to protect him in the first place, and what happened to him in the hallway this morning is something Gil-soo is already used to. Being ignored and turned into a spectacle, like watching a clown show at the circus. He doesn't want to become like them, and his first opponent has to be Yango. He wants to finish the fight he couldn't complete in the cafeteria. No matter how dangerous he is, he truly believes he's ready this time. Night falls, and some students are talking about how Gil-soo has been doing special training. As we can see, many people are here to watch. This is the most packed event that has happened in days. Rock says it's the first time since they enrolled that there's so many people. Gil says that Gil-soo's impact in the last two fights was huge, and the real fun of the fighting arena is that it doesn't matter if you're strong or weak, but whether you can face off. Yango, in the ropes, says that Gil-soo is late, and his friends start laughing, saying maybe he's afraid to fight. Yango says it's better if he runs away, so they can finish him off outside the school. We see Chung watching, and some students start wondering when this will start, asking if this is a joke, telling them to go get Gil-soo. Yango laughs, saying everyone was tricked, and Gil-soo will you show up, that he should just give up. Rock starts wondering if he's really not going to show up. They hear the door open, and Rock turns around as Gil-soo asks why he should give up. Everyone is surprised to see that Gil-soo shaved his head and says that only now does he feel like school is finally worth it. Yango begins to hold back his laughter, but soon bursts out, eyes tearing up, and asks if he really thinks cutting his hair will change anything. All the other students laugh at him too, calling him crazy, and some even call him cringe. Chung smiles slightly, and Gil-soo tells them to laugh as much as they want because they won't be able to laugh for long. Yango says that Deal was also confident at first, and look how he was defeated. Gil-soo says he's going to beat him up. Hank raises his hand, telling them to prepare as they begin to face off. Gil-soo raises his fists and says that the old him is gone, and he plans to win this, even if he has to risk his life. Hang asks if they're ready, and Gil-soo grits his teeth. Hang yells fight, and Gil-soo rushes directly into the attack. He throws a jab, and Yango blocks it, saying that he certainly has courage, but courage isn't the only thing that matters here, as he counters with a punch, hitting Gil-soo directly in the face. Yango says that he's going to make him regret choosing this stupid fight and calls him pathetic. He hits him with a wombo combo, pushing him to the other side of the ring and mocking his training with a punching bag. Then he lands a spinning elbow and a left punch to the face, showing that this isn't enough. He laughs and reminds him that this school is notorious for fights, so a few fight lessons won't help. Gil-soo says that he's strong, his speed and power are on another level compared to those guys from the technical school. Gil-soo prevents himself from being pushed back, but Yango easily dodges with his hands behind his back and asks what he's doing. He starts laughing, telling him to actually try to hit him and knocks him down, saying that his punches are too slow. The spectators begin mocking Gil-soo, saying he shouldn't just stand there taking the hits and should react, asking where all that initial courage went. Hank says that it's going exactly as he expected, and at this pace, they'll only get more arrogant. Chung asks if that's really what he thinks, telling him to watch closely and see who's more focused on the fight, while Gil-soo's eyes are fixed on Yango. Yango laughs, saying that he can certainly take a beating, and it's nice to have a human punching bag. Then he's surprised to see that Gil-soo isn't even lifting his guard anymore. Gil-soo says that his fight has just started, and his eyes are still full of confidence. On the roof, he told told Chung that he wasn't actually going to make it to the final training session. He disobeyed the order not to enter the fighting arena until the training ended and impulsively challenged Yango to a fight. He just couldn't hold back anymore. Chung says that they need to adjust the training plan and then starts running directly toward him. He says that an intensive course is the best way to substitute real training while raising his guard. He says that fighting him is all he needs. Gil-soo gets hit in the stomach, sending him flying back, and wonders if Chung has gone crazy. Chung asks if he plans to just stand there and take a beating in the arena, telling him to react. Gil-soo throws a punch, but Chung dodges and starts continuing with rapid punches to push Gil-soo back. Chung says that his punches are too slow and weak, and that no one in that school will be beaten by those weak punches. Gil-soo says he knows he won't get stronger with just a few sessions, but he still has to win. He throws a right punch this time, which sounds much heavier, like the time he hit Senel, and even he's surprised. Chung asks if he really wants to win, as we see that he didn't even try to block the hit and just took it. He tells him to lower his guard first. Back in the arena, Gil-soo lets out a primal scream. Rock and Deal are surprised to see Gil-soo coming with a series of punches directly toward Yango. Deal asks if he gave up, saying that he shouldn't be swinging his fists around so recklessly. Doesn't make sense to train with Chung if he's just going to do this. Yango laughs, asking if he's going to keep throwing random punches, and starts countering, asking if he thinks those punches will actually hit him. Gil-soo slips from one of the punches, which grazes his cheek, and grabs Yango, something he wasn't expecting. Yango tries to push him away, asking what the hell he thinks he's doing. The students say this fight is boring and that he looks so pathetic, saying that if he's going to lose, he should at least do it with style. This is nothing but a one-sided beating from Yango. Yango grabs Gil-soo's head and starts kneeing his face, telling him to stop fighting and just fall already. Gil-soo says that this is good because everything is going according to plan. Back on the roof, Chung tells him that when he grabs the neck or body, he should lower his guard and restrict his opponent's movements. That's how his fight will start. He hits Gil-soo directly on the side after doing exactly that, and says that it's hard to hit a moving target, but if the opponent stands still, it's much easier. He holds him there, landing quick punches. Gil-soo responds with punches, and Chung says that this is a natural response. All he needs to do when that happens is hold on, just like he's been enduring the training so far. He keeps hitting, and Chung says that when the opportunity arises, he should land an even stronger blow directly to the stomach, making Gil-soo slide off the side of the roof. Gil-soo realizes he can't maintain his guard, but he gets distracted as Chung instantly closes the distance, coming in with another monstrous right. The speed is so great that Gil-soo doesn't even have time to think about dodging, so he just stays there. Luckily, Chung stops before hitting his face, completely surprising Gil-soo. Chung tells him not to try a direct hit right away and that he should throw his opponent into confusion so that he can't predict where his punches will land. Gil-soo tightens his fists and hits Yango directly on the side, saying that he needs to make this unpredictable. Yango doesn't let it stop him and continues hitting him, but Gil-soo also retaliates, now exchanging punches. Yango makes a pained face, saying that this is really annoying as it seems to be having an effect. While he's lost in his thoughts, Gil-soo keeps hitting him directly in the stomach. Some of the students say that this must hurt, calling it dirty boxing. Deal now realizes that he's closing in and attacking the body because he couldn't hit him in the face. Yango also notices this and starts to retreat, creating distance. Gil-soo says that with his guard down, there's now an opening, and he sees exactly where he needs to strike. He opens his stance and goes for a jab. Yango dodges, saying that this tactic was too obvious. Chung also watches with anticipation and remembers how he told him that his training ends here because fights are full of unexpected variables. He can't win the fight just with what he's learned, so he should keep attacking his opponent relentlessly. Gil-soo wanted him to dodge, and as soon as he grabs the back of Yango's head, he realizes that the opportunity has finally arrived. Yango understands that he's fallen into his trap, and Gil-soo asks if he predicted this too, landing a heavy right, sending Yango flying backward. Everyone in the arena is shocked by this and begins cheering for Gil-soo, now realizing that the tide has turned. Yango realizes that the fight is going to be much harder than he thought, and Gil-soo warns him that he's just getting started, so he better be prepared. They start cheering for him, calling him Vomit Boy, saying that they believe in him. Yango gets up, saying it was just luck, that he only swung uncontrollably and got lucky. He charges at him, but Gil-soo lands a jab to his face, immediately following up with a right punch to the head. As Yango recovers from the hit, Gil-soo advances and lands another wombo combo. Hang smiles, saying that Gil-soo is better than he seems, turning the fight around like that. Chung says that in a fight of this level, endurance and mental strength are the most important. Unexpected attacks can break the opponent's concentration, so now the dynamic of the fight is in Gil-soo's favor. Yango wipes the blood away and stares, while Deal notices that he's getting more nervous, especially after noticing Han-hee watching the fight, visibly dissatisfied. Yango remembers Han-hee telling him that he needed to win without fail. Yango says this is embarrassing and starts lifting his leg in a Muay Thai stance, saying he's tired of this pathetic fight. Gil-soo realizes he can't hesitate anymore and needs to finish the fight, but at the wrong moment, Yango hits him with a kick to the face, sending him flying. He grits his teeth to keep from passing out and wonders what the hell the kick was. Yango throws a second kick, hitting him in the stomach, and every impact sounds like he's being hit by metal. He keeps attacking, kicking him into the ropes and telling him that a loser should know his place and stay down, calling him a useless piece of trash. Gil-soo says that each blow feels like he's being hit by a cannon, and there's no opening to counterattack. He wonders what to do and remembers the conversation with Deal when he said it didn't matter how dangerous Yango was because he was prepared. Deal told him to just be careful because Yango seemed to be hiding something, that his kicks were far from normal, and if he tried to kick, he should be prepared. Gil-soo now understands why Deal was so alert. It felt like he was being hit by an iron bar instead of a leg. Yango lifts his leg again, saying he loves seeing that scared look as it suits Gil-soo perfectly, and now he needs to beg for his life like the dog he is. Gil-soo tries to avoid the kick, but he's too slow and ends up getting hit directly in the face and thrown back and forth like in a Street Fighter combo. Yango is enjoying every second of it, while Gil-soo says that seeing Yango relish his pain reminds him of the bastards who tormented him whenever they could. There's no difference between them and Yango. They're all bastards. He then sticks out his rear end and says he can't afford to fall like this. Yango delivers a direct kick to his cheek, completely surprising him. Deal asks what the hell he's doing, and Gil-soo says Yango can hit him as much as he wants because he knows where this is going. Yango asks if he's joking, calling him ridiculous, asking if he thinks this will stop him. He goes for another kick, but ends up hitting Gil-soo's rear end again. This continues repeatedly because with every kick, he's only hitting Gil-soo's butt. All the spectators start laughing, saying he always has an interesting way of fighting, wondering what the name of this move is. Deal laughs and praises Gil-soo's cleverness, suggesting that the butt being patted might be his best defense now, especially with his current position. Now Yango begins to tire and says that if Gil-soo is going to try this, then he should try defending with his head. He goes for a kick and Gil-soo ducks, saying the kick was slow enough for him to see it clearly, which is good. Deal says the pace has slowed a lot and something felt off when he fought against him as well. Yango's kicks were strong, but he seemed reluctant to use them, and Deal assumes that the more powerful the kick, the greater the risk. With every second the fight continues, Yango gets more exhausted, to the point where Gil-soo no longer needs to use his butt no jutsu defense and is just dodging the kicks. He narrowly dodges a kick and manages to see something, but his carelessness causes him to be hit directly in the head by a spinning punch. Yango takes advantage of Gil-soo's moment of carelessness. Yango says that he certainly didn't predict this and laughs at him, saying he certainly was persistent, but it's over now as he goes for a soccer-style kick straight to Gil-soo's head. The impact is audible, and Yango says that no matter how resilient Gil-soo is, he can't withstand this, and he must understand now what happens when he tries to act tough. But Gil-soo calmly calls Yango, surprising him, saying that his kick has become so slow and weak, as we see that he's noticed this. Yango starts to fall as Gil-soo pushes him straight to the ground. Yango begins to sweat nervously, feeling that something is wrong, while Gil-soo mentions the strangeness of being hit by metal and notes that his kicks have slowed down, with something shiny appearing during one of them. He grabs Yango's pants and Yango starts screaming internally, unable to react. Gil-soo pulls and rips his pants, saying that he's got him now, revealing a metal shin guard. Gil-soo says that now he understands why Yango got so tired so quickly. He was using something heavy on his legs. The spectators begin mocking Yango, calling him a cheater, saying he was only pretending to be strong while wearing metal shin guards. Han comments that Yango's kicks were really strange and asks Chung what they should do about it. Chung laughs and says they should just wait, as this will be over soon, because Gil-soo is going to finish the job. Gil-soo starts hitting Yango hard in the face while he's on top of him. Yango is speechless, asking how Gil-soo isn't exhausted yet. Gil-soo says he recognizes that expression. It's a look of dread that means Yango isn't even considering challenging him. It's the same expression Gil-soo used to have when he was intimidated, but that old version of Gil-soo is gone now, and he's finally standing up for himself. He screams as tears fill his eyes, and with a very strong punch he hits Yango directly in the face, causing his head to slam into the arena floor. We see Yango's eyes starting to fade, already on the brink of losing consciousness, and the referee immediately stops the fight, declaring Gil-soo the winner. As he raises his hand, Gil-soo feels happy, knowing he's finally knocked out one of the bullies with his own fists. While Yango lies there, he says it can't be, wondering how he lost. He sees Shoku and says it can't be, it's not over yet, and that he'll take his revenge, but Shoku calls him useless and starts walking away. The crowd begins throwing stones at Yango, calling him a cheater and saying he should die, treating him like trash and challenging him to a fight the next day. Gil-soo approaches him, which surprises him, then extends his hand, leaving Yango confused. Gil-soo says he should get up if he's regained his senses. He really wanted to beat him because he cheated, but he can't do anything because there are rules, and next time they should just focus on fighting fairly. Yango is speechless. Hang laughs, saying that Gil-soo is more interesting than he thought, and he can't believe he's trying to shake Yango's hand. Chung says that now Gil-soo finally looks like a student from Six Gates High School, and he's more capable than he imagined. Then we hear Shoku asking what the hell is going on, asking why little fish are fighting in the arena. The spectators are shocked to see Gil-soo grab Yango, saying he's a bastard who can't even beat a loser, and that he's not welcome at the school. Gil-soo doesn't even know who this guy is, but Chung steps into the ring asking Shoku what he thinks he's doing. Shoku says, "Long time, haven't seen you," calling him a traitor. He starts walking toward Chung, saying that seeing such a stupid fight pissed him off and can't stand seeing his school being destroyed. He'd rather finish off the fight arena and simply crush the school. Chung laughs, saying he thought Shoku had given up since he's been so quiet, but this is interesting and Shoku is more than welcome to fight. He's more than ready to beat him now to show how the arena really works. They begin to position themselves for the fight. The students say they can't believe they're witnessing this before they graduate. Gil-soo asks if he was his friend. He's surprised that Gil-soo doesn't know him, but remembers that he's also a transfer student. Before the fight arena was created, Chung and Shoku used to compete for the title of the strongest in the school. Gil-soo is surprised that Shoku is the equivalent of Chung. Shoku stomps his foot on the ground and starts stretching, asking how long it's been since they fought like this. Chung is disgusted to hear Shoku mention the past, asking if he's already looking forward to being defeated again. Shoku calls him arrogant and charges directly at him, saying that Chung went through all that effort to reach the top just to do something like this. The sound of his shockwave scares many of the students, making them run. They wonder what the hell that strength is, saying the ring will collapse. We see that Chung dodged the attack, asking Shoku where he's aiming. Shoku starts smiling, going for an overhead left strike, which Chung immediately dodges, following up with a kick. But of course the kick is also dodged. This continues a few more times, with Shoku still unable to land a single hit on Chung. Gil-soo wonders how Shoku can move so quickly with such a large belly. Gil says that Chung is amazing for dodging all of this. Gil-soo asks what will happen if Chung loses. Gil thinks for a second, and then says that the arena won't exist anymore, and the school will go back to what it was before, because Shoku is one of Hanhei's subordinates. Gil-soo wonders who Hanhei is. Back to the fight, Shoku starts getting frustrated, saying that Chung is just running around like a rat and that he should forget his past victory. We see Shoku assume a charging stance. He immediately charges, saying that now he's a completely different person. He goes for a palm strike, which Chung narrowly dodges but still hits him in the face, cutting his cheek. Shoku starts laughing, saying that he finally touched him. His wave of attacks continues, pushing Chung back in the ring. He says that Chung is acting cool, but he clearly lost his skills, while we see Chung getting hurt all over his body. Shoku says that if he had known Chung was this weak, he would have defeated him earlier, while one of his punches sends Chung flying. Gil-soo says this is crazy, asking how Chung can win this. Gil says that, from what he's heard, Shoku has always been stronger than Chung, but Chung had him beat in technique. Looking at them now, Shoku is overwhelming him, so maybe he's gone through some special training. Shoku starts thinking about how his body feels completely different, and that he's been given something that is really pushing his body to the limit. He raises his leg for an axe kick, saying that now Chung doesn't surpass him in anything, telling him to die. Chung stares at him, and then we hear the impact of the kick. The students are shocked to see Chung land a direct hit on Shoku's face, asking what Shoku thinks has changed. This punch is strong enough to send Shoku's large body flying, and it sounds like a gunshot. Shoku folds onto the ropes, and Chung says this is just a waste of time for him, and he's ready to finish it now. With Chung directly in his face, he starts treating him like a punching bag. Each punch hits Shoku directly in the stomach, and he starts spitting blood, wondering what the hell is happening with this power. He suggests that Chung might have been holding back all this time. Chung prepares his monstrous right punch, landing directly in Shoku's stomach. Hey everyone, did you enjoy the story? I really liked it. If you want to follow the next part, make sure to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. See you in the next story, guys.